listening to The Sizzle on Iron Skillet Radio and Iron Skillet Television.
All right, Jay, we're here to tell everyone what they've already known, I guess, what they've been waiting for. The thing, the moment has come. How are you feeling, Eberflus?
Man, that sounds like something you do if you constipated. I need the Eberflus. What?
Matt Eberflus?
Bro.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about in a little amount of time. So you know who it is. You know what it is. It's the Sizzle here. You know who's in the building. G Sizzle, J Sizzle. And guess who's on the line? VANCE SIZZLE is here in the building. We got a caller in. The third wheel to this. So we're going to keep this as a 3-wheel tricycle because we can't afford a fourth.
It sounds like the Bears.
All right. So, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. The Bears hired former defensive coordinator from the Indianapolis Colts, Matt Eberflus. I like saying it like that. Matt Eberflus. Matt is a 51-year-old with 17 years of coaching experience. He's been a linebackers coach. He's worked with some of the best. And over last season and over the last 4 seasons, his defensive teams have allowed the 10 fewest points in the league. And he has the most takeaways, the second most takeaways in that same time span, and has yielded the 3rd fewest rushing yards of any defense in the NFL over a 4-year span. So your new head coach for the Chicago Bears is Matt Eberflus. And we'll just open up the floor. Vance, we'll just start with you to see if you feel Eberflusy.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. I had no idea who Eberflus was till today. So, I mean, honestly, I saw some other prospects out there that would have probably, made me feel better about the Bears' current situation. However, I mean, you can't even say you can trust the Bears organization right now because I have no trust in the Bears. Whoever they hire right now, I'm just going to look at it as some sort of fluke or some sort of catch behind it. Maybe it was a cheaper route. Yeah, all them accolades sound good, but the Bears always been okay on defense. So I don't think the defense ever been an issue for the Bears. It's really the offense. We were number 5 from the bottom in offense, if I'm correct. I think we had a total of 500 yards in 6 games. No. So just to get a defensive coordinator to pretty much still be the defensive coordinator for the Bears, I assume, even though he's going to take the head coaching spot, it doesn't impress me at all. I mean, he's not from a winning organization. I think they won maybe a total of 7 or 8 games. So, yay for the Bears, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Indianapolis was a team that was in the running for a playoff spot. Had a very bad situation happen with them when they had their quarterback just kind of retire. I'm just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I mean,
like they didn't know that was going. Like they didn't know that was going to happen.
Well, I mean, you could have figured it out. Every time he got folded up, he kept going on the field and getting folded up. But was a great quarterback. I can't take anything away from him. And then you trade, though, for a questionable quarterback in Carson Wentz that you had questions about from the beginning. You knew in Philly there were some things going on with Carson Wentz, but ever be the case. So, Jay, now that you're Eberflus, now that you have a defensive coordinator, young man who comes in and a young, spry 51, he comes in to lead the Bears defense and revitalize Khalil Mack and like some more people. It doesn't really matter. He's an Eberflus. He is the new man in charge, Jay. So say you with the new man in charge.
If our offense was putting up, 25 points a game, 30 points a game, and our defense was trash, I'd say great hire. Mm-hmm. He had the Colts playing really good defense. They were number 1 in defensive run efficiency. So they know how to play defense. He knows how to put out a good defensive football team. But we are talking about the Chicago Bears, who had historically one of the worst offenses in NFL history. And now the Bears go out, and get a defensive coordinator. Don't they already have a defensive coordinator on the team? What is this side doing? Why do we have two defensive coordinators on the sideline? Who's going to teach Justin Fields how to throw a spiral? I mean, who's going to teach him? Are they going to teach him how not to get clacked upside the head when they blitz him on his left side? Because he still ain't figured that out. This is one of these hires that just don't make sense. Because the question now, the clock is ticking. Who are they bringing in as their offensive coordinator now? Who is going to be the quarterback guru?
That is the real question.
You have Byron Leftwich sitting out there. Why didn't you go get him? You could have been standing on the sidelines of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when the 13 seconds were going off the clock. You should have been there with a check.
The Bears at a point now where they have to show the effort, because now it's like, okay, I'll go hire somebody from a winning organization. Right now, it looks like you're putting forth the effort trying to win some games now. But now when you go and say, oh, here's an Eberflus for you, like, okay, a defensive coordinator, that's not what we need right now. I really don't believe that's what we need as a head coach. But I mean, I wonder if Ryan Poles had a lot to do with that. I really don't believe he did. I don't believe he had a lot to do with that hire.
I believe you're right about that. I want to say, because I think they already had Eberflus ready to go in the hopper. I think this deal had been cut, because he was in early, and I think they waited on not bringing this up, hiring him first, because they didn't want to see like they were putting the cart before the horse.
Sure.
They wanted to. So we're going to get our GM first, but quickly, because here's the question, right? Here you have the GM in, right? So who did the GM interview in a day and a half?
Of course, of 3 days, right? Correct.
Right.
72 hours.
Who did he interview?
In 72 hours.
Right. They showed him getting out the car at 4:00 in the morning at Hallis Hall. I didn't see a bus pulling up. He went right to work. So who did he interview? I mean, did he go on a Wikipedia page like I'm doing right now to figure out who Eberflus is?
He didn't put his finger on a piece of paper and said, "Oh, Eberflus, I like that name."
Right. He didn't make this hire. This sounds like a Ted Phillips type of thing right here. This is what this sounds like. Why? Because this is a typical thing that the Bears would do.
Well, I think both of you are going to eat your words, because I know you
sound like an Eberflus fan right now. I was going to call you out on this.
He's been in this mix. He was in this mix before we even got to a general manager. Plus, you have Dan Quinn, who told all teams earlier today he's pulling out, staying with the Cowboys, probably thinking about next year becoming head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So then you had some more defensive guys on your list. I mean, the funny thing about Eberflus is this. He's a heavy cover two guy. He's a heavy cover two scheme guy. So what's funny is, for his defensive coordinators, you've got cats like Zimmer who can come up. You got other guys who are Jim Schwartz. But one of the funny names that's coming out right now is one of his defensive coordinators that you could bring in right now to run the same scheme he likes to run is Lovie Smith.
Yeah, but here's the thing about it. You were better off with Lovie Smith.
My question is, why do we want to run same? Why is same even a goal?
I don't even know if it's a goal.
Same has got us nowhere, correct?
Yeah. I don't know if that's a real goal.
That's borderline insanity, right? To keep doing the same thing over and over, right? Expect a different outcome, right?
But can we ask a question now? What's
that?
Weren't the Bears noted for their defense since 2018? Bill Mack? Well, I mean, weren't they still one of the better defenses in the league? So what does Eberflus bring that the Bears didn't already have? This, I mean, well, I don't understand. Is he the great guy down there? You know what? I'm gonna tell you, this smells like a McCaskey hire because he's one of our guys. You know, they brought the young guy in. You know, I don't know if he's qualified to be a GM or not. We'll find out. But they brought him, so he checked off the diversity box, and then they went and brought in their guy who they had pinned on a piece of paper a long time ago because he fits their bill of a type of guy they wanted in the area. Because why? He's not going to push back on the McCaskey. He's not going to tell them no. He's not going to tell them, you don't, this guy's not a rouser. We ever heard anybody say that this guy is a guy who's going to speak his mind on the sidelines? None of that. He got passed over for the head coaching position down there in with the Colts. You know what I'm saying? So you have Frank Reich down there and everybody else down there. He didn't get the job down there. He got passed by. Again, we were picking out the bottom of the barrel when we picked this guy up because he's not the guy that you need to ensure that a franchise is going in the right direction to win football games. He is a guy you put in there because you had to hire somebody else because you didn't like what the people in the paper were saying about you.
I pray he's more influential than Matt Nagy in that locker room. And that's hard to do. Because Matt Nagy, despite all the losing they were doing, all the inopportune situation, all the missed throws, everything. Quarterback on the ground every play, couldn't get an offense going, he still had that locker room. Will this guy be able to have the locker room? That's going to be the key. Because these guys played their heart out for Matt Nagy. And the thing is, can this guy persuade this team to look? Or will you essentially die for me out?
You know what's funny is the list of the coordinators now who are still on the board. You've got Byron Leftwich, Darren Bevel, Todd Bowles. Nathaniel Hackett went to the Broncos earlier, but you still got Doug Peterson out there. You've got some guys out there, even Vance Joseph. And the weird thing about Leslie Frazier is his name keeps coming up. And a lot of the head coaches that the Bears looked at were primary defensive people. They weren't offensive minds. You never even heard them really talk about Brian Leftwich coming to the Bears as being someone they really were looking at. They never focused in on him and said, you know, this is somebody good. And even with someone like Brian Flores, they were just kind of like, you know, he's out there.
No.
And I'm beginning to wonder now what this all has culminated to. So to your point, Jay, to your point, Vance, maybe Eberflus was a already conditioned, like, hey, here are your three you can pick from. See if you like those three. If not, here are your three you can pick from.
Well, here's the problem. You got a GM who's never been a GM before, right? And you got a head coach who's never been a head coach before. So now they're going to be learning on the job, training on the job, and now you have a quarterback. Who's our quarterback? We don't even know who our quarterback is.
You know who your quarterback is.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I don't know why you keep acting so silly, like you don't know.
I'm gonna agree with G Sizzle on this one. You know exactly who's gonna be a quarterback.
I'm telling you. You know who's going to get number one is going to get the number one slot going into training camp. But I'm telling you right now, if he gets out there and starts getting blasted and his helmet gets turned sideways again, don't be surprised if you see who's coming in. Who are they bringing in to play the backup quarterback position? Are they still leaving Andy Dalton there? Are they still going to pay that money? Are you going to still pay? Are you going to still pay $20 million of Foles? Andy Dalton could beat out Justin Fields in a head-to-head-up because he knows offense is better than Justin Fields. And so who's the offensive coordinator? I mean, who's the offensive coordinator of the Bears right now?
You keep saying that about Andy Dalton. How long has Andy Dalton been in the league?
Long enough to play better than Justin Fields.
And that's the whole point. Long enough to know more than Justin Fields. He's not a better quarterback. He's not a better athlete. What he is right now is more
He's not a better quarterback. He's a better quarterback.
Hold on.
He's a better quarterback. He's not a better athlete.
Doesn't make you a better quarterback.
No, he's not a better quarterback than
he's
Justin
more
Fields.
Experienced, so that makes him a little bit better of a quarterback than Justin Fields.
The Bears move the ball. The Bears move the ball when Andy Dalton's in there.
The Bears didn't move the ball with any quarterback.
The sky's the ceiling for Justin Fields. We get that. However, from the display that we've seen, when they put him out there, that display we saw, he looked confused. He looked like he didn't know what he was doing. Now, was that some of the coaching fault? Maybe so. It's to be determined right now. But Justin Fields did not look good. He had good moments, but in all, he did his debut did not look good at all. A good debut is a Mac Jones. Even a Trevor Lawrence is playing pretty well, despite the circumstances that he was in. So in that hiring class right now, I think Justin Fields is doing I won't say the worst, but he's got a lot of improving to do. Because when he gets out there, I'm like sitting on the edge of the couch, like, oh my gosh, he's turnover prone, and one of those things you can't really coach. You can't really coach that. Hold on to the ball, get out of bounds, or you know what I mean. Don't just loft it to your check down. You know what I mean, like stuff like that. I mean, I'm no quarterback, and I know it's a hard job in the NFL, but I've watched it for a very long time, and I know that's just not how you do the job. I mean, anybody can look at it and tell that's not how you do the job. Now, hopefully he does better this season. We'll see. But I'm not sold on Justin.
Well, I'm not sold on the whole fact that you don't know who your quarterback is. You're going to have to work with this quarterback you've got now. And one of the problems the Bears keep having is you keep investing too high in the draft. You can't lose this high collateral because whatever you do, if Justin Fields is not going to be an NFL quarterback, and if you go back to Andy Dalton's rookie year, his 1 through 5 wasn't that much greater either. In fact, Andy Dalton never got the Bengals where they needed to be. Henceforth, why he's not still a Bengal. Henceforth, why he had a great coaching staff.
You can't bring it out of henceforth, sir.
Yep, the henceforth, why he's still a Bear. Henceforth, we're saying you've got to hit with Justin Fields because if you don't, if this goes awry, and you have nothing else with the draft capital you have, you've already said that 5 years from now, you're going to be a disaster. Because it's going to take 5 more years. And we've seen it in Chicago. You've seen it every time. You saw when Jay Will went down with the Bulls. It was a 5-year span between them having just a capable point guard. And then by the grace of God, they were able to get Derrick Rose. If you didn't have a Derrick Rose, the Bulls would still be the bottom feeder teams of the league. It's one of those things that if you don't hit with Justin Fields, you can't move forward. So the question now is, who do you work with offensively? Who does Eberflus bring in to work with this young man to get him up to speed and have him to stop standing up when he slides? I don't understand it.
Here's the whole thing. Going to your Bears comparison, right? Bulls comparison. Look how bad the Bulls had to become. Now they were competitive with Derrick Rose were there, right? Because they lucked in the ping pong ball fell right? But look what the Bulls had to do. They had to go strip down their entire upper management and bring in a group who had shown that they could build a team. They had a team out on the field, out on the court, who were playing really good basketball in the playoffs. Now you have went and got a head coach from a team that had a good defense, but when the coach going to do anything for you? This is where the Bears are right now. We're very glad that Aaron Rodgers is going to hopefully be out of the division because that was the only way we're going to have a chance to compete. You know what I'm saying? With a depleted Detroit Lions, you see what Matthew Stafford's doing out there. You got the Minnesota Vikings.
Not to cut you off, but we're at a point now where Cousins is an issue for the Bears.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be an issue as long as he's in Minnesota, and that should never be the case for the Bears. Cousins? goes to show you the state of where the Bears are at. You know what I mean? Like, it goes to show you we're a Scotia above Detroit, and that's that.
Oh, I wouldn't say we're above Detroit. I wouldn't say we're above Detroit right now. I think this is This is a train wreck that has already started. It's already started to derail, and there's no way to put this back on right now, because there's going to have to be some magic, some magical dust is going to have to be sprinkled for this first time. A young guy who has no GM experience. He only has 1 year of administrative experience at a high level, and you're asking him to come in and right this ship, and he's never been captain. He's like he's captain of the minnow right now. This is Gilligan's Island. This is exactly what this is, because it's one of these situations that, as a Bears fan, that you finally realize just how inept the whole group of people running the Bears are. Is Poles the right guy or the wrong guy? But he's definitely the wrong guy to bring in when you don't have a guy who has head coaching experience. You know, you got 2 new people coming in. This is, well, what's the word you use? What was that big word you threw out there?
Oh, it's the Travis Shamockery.
Yeah, the Travis. Yeah, whatever that was, it's that. Because this is bad.
Yeah, well, we're used to it. We're used to it. So, you know, maybe we're at a point now where, you know, you got to destroy and rebuild, and hopefully that's where we're at. And you know, I guess we can only go up from here now. So, I mean, I don't assume we're going to win only 2 games next year. I'd assume we're going to win a little bit more than five games. So,
hey, wouldn't we have liked to see Matt LaFleur here?
You know, I think you would have liked to have seen any good coach, but again, I'm still at the point where I'm saying you didn't even get really. You had a kind of everything was going towards Dan Quinn earlier. That was going to be your pick. So we were still going to say Dan Quinn failed with Atlanta because he was the guy. And then for some reason, he pulled out for whatever reason. And now you're left with it.
Because
what is confusing is you don't even pull anybody from Kansas City, at least people you knew. You know, you didn't go and get somebody you knew had a proven track record of working the kind of offense. And maybe he wants to do a whole new offense. Maybe, you know, the whole thing is he's great at picking linemen, offensive linemen and defensive linemen. He knows how to look at them and see them. Because obviously the Bears haven't been able to pick good linemen since the 80s.
Sure. If I put myself in the front office's shoes of the Chicago Bears, honestly, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't have a solution. As of right now, I do not have a solution. They went and got Tevin Jenkins, started left tackle. He's injured. He gets out there and for his debut, he didn't do so well. I mean, hopefully, as the season's in the league, he'll get better. But you know, you go and try to make. I think they made an effort this year. I would say they made an effort trying to go get a quarterback and Justin Fields, somebody a little bit agile, appeared to be smart. You know, those kind. You know, he's the ideal guy on paper. You know what I mean? He played well in Ohio. So you know, as me, if I put myself in their shoes, I probably would have made some of the same mistakes they've made. However, we're at a point where people want to win now, you know, and it's kind of hard to win now. You can't put all the pieces together. So, I mean, it's going to be a long ride, you know. So I don't think they're looking at this year to be a year that they're going to go to Super Bowl. I think they just want to make the playoffs, and I mean that's a good goal right now for the Bears. Because we went to the playoffs last year, we didn't go to playoffs this year, so at least get us back to the playoffs at this point, you know. So, will Eberflus be able to do it? I don't know.
That's interesting.
Maybe the easiest side of the ball to fix is defense.
Well, maybe okay. So let's put it like this: as we get ready to close out, is it that they feel that if they can work on this defensive side of the ball, they have a better chance than trying to work and put something together offensively? Is that their new goal?
Well, you got $30 million you're gonna have to pay.
They're assuming their offense isn't going to be any good this year. They're assuming because I believe a lot of the starter offense is coming back.
Okay.
So you got to assume that offense ain't going to do much, seeing that they can't score over 30 points. So if you go out here and you have a defense, you know, that's going to be on the field majority of the game, which has been the narrative for the Bears. You kind of want to beef up your defense. You kind of want to have a good scheme defense. You kind of want to have a defense that you know, okay, at least they're out there. At least we know it's going to be a game. So I think that's where they're leaning towards right now. Defense wins championships, and they're going to ride on that antiquated. I won't say antiquated. That thing that's been around forever. That defense wins games. You know what I mean? So I think that's what they're leaning on. They put a lot of money in the offense, and as you can see, it's come to a halt. It is. I mean, they're not even. They can't even get a first down. So it's rough.
Yeah, Jay Sizzle, I know that you're not happy about this. I know that you're
3-and-out.
Look,
3-and-out squad.
You have a team who has not made it into the playoffs the last 9 out of 11 years. This is the offensive team that you have going out here. And the Bears are already had a ranked defense. So I'm not understanding. Desai has obviously shown by scheme and by stats that he could have this defense ready to play.
I'm not going to bring up video games, but in Madden,
Right.
They got the Bears defense right higher than the Bills defense.
Absolutely. So who now is going to get this offense going? Who? Because everybody is hired now.
Eberflus.
Everybody. Who are they bringing in as offensive coordinator? Because that's the magical question. And if other offensive coordinators have been being picked up, that means other teams have rejected the one we're going to get. That's my problem with getting Eberflus. That's my problem with getting this GM. Why didn't we get first choice? Why did we get first choice? Because we didn't want to pay. And I guarantee you that's what the most of the issue is. Because we were negotiating. And we were negotiating and throwing nickels around like manhole covers, like the Bears do, except for when they went out there and paid $20 million to a third-string quarterback, and then they're stuck with $30 million to an outside linebacker who they're not going to be able to trade.
Well, I hope you're right, and we're wrong. I hope you're right.
Well, you know, at this point, you can only hope that somebody is getting it right. You can now, for all those young people and all those people out there who said they wanted a new face, they wanted fresh ideas. They wanted, now that you got a young GM, you want fresh ideas. Now you got it. Now you have fresh ideas. You got a young GM, you got a young head coach, youngish. And now now the work really begins. Now we're going to see really what your GM is about, because now he and his head coach have to establish a team. They have to put together a staff that makes this work, because if they don't, this is going to be another disastrous turn for the Chicago Bears. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Dan Eberflusy. Because now you're Eberflused. Now it's
Eberflus. I'm just kidding.
You're flused. You're Eberflused.
Hey, can we got Mike Zimmer?
Well,
we need a head coach.
How did Mike Zimmer work?
You need a head coach.
How did he work in Minnesota? I mean, he had all the tools. He had better tools than the Bears did.
Yeah, but you needed a head coach. I think this is a mistake putting two rookies in here in these positions right now.
Well, with the decisions that they made, I don't think they were in the best or the most opportune situation to get somebody that's going to completely fit what the Bears need. So I guess they're going to piece and part and try to put this thing together. That's where I'm getting right now. So, I mean, good luck to the Bears and their future endeavors. I'm out. So. I'm just playing. But yeah, hopefully they tie it on.
It's like we're at a funeral.
So I'm out.
Good luck with all their future endeavors. I'm out. You know, 'cause, man,
he hit it with the deuces.
they need to put some new fires,
Oh.
change some jerseys or something, man. I don't know. Do something.
You know, I'm not a big fan of their retro jerseys. I'm just going to say it right now. Anytime you look like a creamsicle in your jersey, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not.
Hey, I wonder if Eberflus's wife, G Sizzle, like you said earlier, I wonder if she's even going to have to sell her house because he could just commute from Indianapolis. They would just be good, right?
Pretty
there.
much. I'm going to tell you now, all jokes aside, unless he's got some tight connections in Chicago, his family's probably going to stay in Indianapolis. I mean, if he's in Geist someplace, somewhere where it's nice in Indianapolis, they have some very nice areas. It's much cheaper. Taxes. He's got better schools probably for his children.
Kids in school. Yep.
Yeah.
Look at me. Look, if I was Eberflus, I'd stay right where I'm at, and I just commute. Because why not?
Yep. And he could have the Bears helicopter run him back and forth if he needed to do that. He could stay up here 2 or 3 days, go back down there a day, come back.
They're running helicopters.
So you're only.
Well,
look,
I talk about a helicopter ride. You're only talking about maybe hour.
Oh yeah, I forget. Yeah, they spend more on helicopters and vehicles than they do the team. But whatever.
I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
This is post
I'm absolutely
Kobe anniversary. I'm not getting on a helicopter job. You're not.
I hear that.
I'm not getting. You're not putting me in a helicopter.
Kobe, you shouldn't let Kobe make the decision about whether the helicopter should take off or not.
Jay Sizzle, I hope we're eating our words.
Yeah, I hope you eat them.
Hey, I hope so. But I think we're gonna be fat and happy. Well, fat and mad. What? Hey, if we, you know what I think. I hate to say this, but you thought things was bad with Matt Nagy. You know what I'm saying? Now,
I feel better about them hiring Matt Nagy, so I don't. When they first originally
because at least it was an offensive mind,
and maybe
it was an offensive mind.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe you should feel better about this because it's not Matt Nagy.
Well, he's better than Matt Nagy in the Bears' eyes right now. So
yeah, well, we're going to see about that because I'm gonna be surprised if he gets somewhere and he does a little bit better. My issue is
different ain't always better, and we're gonna see that this year. Now, is Matt Nagy the answer? No. But we better find somebody better than him.
Well, I mean, we're going to wait and see.
Ryan Pace. We're going to wait and find somebody better than Ryan Pace. Is Ryan Poles the guy? Is he better than Ryan Pace? We'll see.
But the whole issue is
they traded a Matt and a Ryan for a Matt and a Ryan.
Yeah, I was thinking like they had like the his office with the initials on it. Like, we don't even have to change the initials on his office. You just, that's probably one of the main reasons why they hired him.
RP, they fits right in there. You got a Ryan now as your general manager, and you got a Matt as your head coach. So there you go, Bears fans. That means this is going to be a disaster.
Let's look at this defense now. Is Akeem Hicks coming back?
Who cares?
The glue. No.
Who cares?
All right.
They'll be hurt half the season.
Are we getting 19 sacks from Robert Quinn next year? No. Them sacks didn't even mean nothing.
No,
right?
He was on the field every day.
You silly man.
Yeah, how was your how was your secondary looking out there?
Secondary toast.
Danny Trevathan, we bringing Danny Trevathan back?
Well,
no.
I tell you, you got to bring Danny Trevathan back because you don't have enough money. If you cut Danny Trevathan, now you got what, close to 10 million in dead cap? It's something
close to 10 million dead cap with Danny Trevathan. You got 30 million with Akeem Hicks. I'm not Akeem Hicks with what's his name? Khalil Mack. You got a tremendous amount of money tied up into these guys who have been injured. And again, who have no reason to go out there and stay injured because this team does not going to be in the hunt. So you have an aging defense, and now you got a defensive coordinator with an aging defense, and now you still don't have anybody to coach up Justin Fields. And I say to this day, still don't know if Justin Fields is a future quarterback for the Bears. I want to back.
But they're essentially hiring guys or keeping guys just to hang out with the trainer. They're hiring guys to hang out with the physical trainers at this point.
What are y'all gonna do? Are they all going to Howard's Hall and make s'mores?
Hey.
I mean, it's like, I mean, who? Okay, when you have a young GM like this, right? Most of things that happen in football is because of relationships, right? Especially at that level. They get to know each other. They get to talk to people. They tell other people. Here's the thing about, here's my last point, because I know we got to go. Is Ryan Poles bringing that whole scouting team with him from the Chiefs? Because I'm pretty sure the Chiefs have guys under contract. And I'm sure when Ryan Poles calls them and they see a 312 area code, that they're going to say, so sorry, can't talk to you. How's the pizza? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure they have a non-complete cause. I'm sure there's one. A non-disclosure cause, I'm sure there's one. So now he has to go out and send a whole bunch of guys out there that he don't know to go out there and start doing his scouting for him. He's behind on that. So it's like,
so all we can say is this. We can say one thing. Congratulations to the retirement of you, the Iron Man, the man of Pittsburgh, who thought he was going to play forever. So, man, we get to congratulate. We saw, or hopefully we've seen the last of the Pittsburgh quarterback again. So, I don't know, Ben.
Big Ben was still in checks for a while. Big Ben was still in checks for the last 3 seasons. He was just still in checks.
I'm convinced Big Ben, all he ate was cheeseburgers for the last decade.
Probably. Dude, hey, I tell you what, don't be surprised. Ben Roethlisberger might be your new offensive coordinator for the Bears. I'm just saying. I don't know.
I will lose my mind.
That's okay.
Wow.
Hey, man,
I will go down Lower Wacker Drive.
Don't do it. Don't do it, VANCE SIZZLE. Whatever you're going to do, don't do it. Hey, man, and good luck to you, my man Byron Leftwich. Heard you got second interview back with the Saints. So, hey, man, you know, I'm looking for good things. I'm looking for a great NFL season. I'm looking for fantasy to be popping again next year. I know that nobody's going to pick Justin Fields, so I'm going to have him as my backup quarter in some of my leagues because nobody's going to pick him, and he's the number 1 QB.
And you're gonna have him as
well, you know, here's a surprise.
Here's
a surprise, though. Let's think. Let's think about this, though. Has Leftwich got signed?
No.
Yeah.
Is
he signed yet?
As a head coach?
Yes.
No. There's still
some
guys out there.
Let me. I'm just wondering now. Is it possible? Could we see a Brian Leftwich maybe being the offensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears?
Nope.
If he doesn't get these head coaching jobs?
You know who's a weird, I'm telling you, somehow Jim Caldwell's going to be in this mix. So I don't know if you want him as your OC, but if he's your QB coach or something like that, don't be surprised if you see Jim Caldwell somewhere in there. Don't be surprised if some guys don't get picked up by Jacksonville and some other things that are in the mix right now with the Texans and the Giants. Don't be surprised. You might get a veteran DC and OC for the Bears. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna put it that way. Man,
I would love for the Bears to pull the trigger and just offer him a offer that he can't refuse.
This is tricky. I would be careful with just trying to sell out for Leftwich because, hey, he was coaching Brady. So we already know he probably told Leftwich to go get a sandwich or something during practice, and he was out there running offense. So.
He might have,
but to your point, though, he was there with Tom Brady for 2 solid seasons. So the information he gleaned from Brady, I guarantee you, he reads defenses differently now than what he did before. Because you saw the Bucks. Who was the Bucks quarterback prior to that?
Famous Jameis.
Famous Jameis. You saw
threw for 5,000 yards.
You saw this Bucks offense, right? You saw this Bucks offense explode when Tom Brady got there. So, and Byron Leftwich was sitting there with his pad out taking notes. I would take Leftwich right now because of that, because he was with Tom Brady for 2 straight years. I would take him right now because he sat in the quarterback room with Tom Brady to go, who nobody reads defense better than Tom Brady. Even that guy up north with the funny hairdo don't read defense as well as Tom Brady does. Even though Tom Brady was running for his dear life and he couldn't run in his last game against the Rams. But this is a guy who understands stuff right now. I would love to see Byron Leftwich come in as an offensive coordinator just because he's been around Tom Brady for 2 straight years.
So I know we got close here, but I know I'm gonna try to end this with a laugh. Anybody see Skip Bayless's meltdown?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch. I heard he melted. I heard he was almost in tears.
So when everybody gets off here, go look at the latest on Skip Bayless and Shannon if you want a good laugh.
Well, I'm gonna tell you now. I'm happy that we had a good show. I'm happy that we were able to get on here, give the people some information. And one thing that I've got to remind everybody is make sure that you like, subscribed, and shared. Leave your comments below in the comment section. Make sure you tell us what you like, what you don't like. Do you like Matt Eberflus? Have you been Eberflused, or are you still waiting to be flused?
That still sounds like something you got to say when you're constipated. I need to eat. So give me the Eberflus.
Hey man, hopefully we're eating our words. And Eberflus is the answer to all the problems. Hey, but
I hope so, but I don't know.
Hopefully they see something we don't.
That's all right. I still believe. I believe in the children of the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way.
I thought you were going to. I believe I can fly. I thought you were going with Kells a little bit there.
Well, I didn't want us to get counseled.
You went way.
Yeah, I didn't want.
Well, due to circumstances, I think. We're gonna leave that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it alone.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that one alone.
You don't want to do that.
We're not stepping in the name of love anymore.
No, I don't.
Oh no.
You can step in.
Especially not around when the 9th graders are around. That was Kells.
That's it. Gotta go. You know who it is.
Wait.
You know what it is. You know who it is.
Wow, bro. That's crazy. That's so love, bro.
You know it's the Sizzle, and we will see you, my friends, on the other side. Remember, you can always catch the Sizzle's Hot 5 and 5 right here on Iron Skillet Radio and Iron Skillet Television. Make sure that you subscribed and share this information with someone. Hit the like button to make sure that you are leaving those like comments. And hey, down below, tell us what you're thinking. Tell us some things you want us to look at, and make sure that you're looking for a brand new episode of The Sizzle, the hottest talk in the 219. Remember, I'm G Sizzle, and I will see you on the other side.
Make sure that you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Iron Skillet Sports. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to Iron Skillet Sports on YouTube at Iron Skillet Sports.